stream. I'm going to be going over one main topic today about a series of tweets actually that I thought really interesting from a guy, Avi Chawala, who was talking about the 5 different levels of agentic systems, about systems built on top of AI agents. But a couple quick updates from me in general for anybody following. I've been doing a bunch of things. I feel like I've the past couple weeks, month or so, been, maybe 2 months actually, been setting a lot of groundwork for some community stuff that I want to really get to down the road. And so I've been building some open source projects, working on a new presentation, and a couple of interesting things in the pipeline. I applied, put in a proposal for Angular Connect in London in the fall, a conference that I love. It is Angular related, but they usually have like a bunch of different diverse web related topics. And so I submitted a proposal for the Angular Transformers library, open source library I've been working on that kind of brings transformers.js, bringing running models inside the browser with an Angular app. And so if that gets accepted, I'll, not just talk in general about running AI models in the browser, but I'll talk specifically about some like Angular, you know, features and things that make it easier, and some tricks that I kind of learned along the way with Angular, with the way that Angular deals with web workers and a couple other things. And the other thing was that I did get on finally the Hugging Face Discord. It was much harder than I thought it would be. They have a system for authenticating you have to have a Hugging Face account. And so you log into Discord and then try to register, and then it tries to authenticate your Hugging Face account. And for whatever reason, it was having issues with my account. And I think the only way I finally solved it was I had to use Firefox, I think. Like it wasn't working on Chrome or Safari. And I saw some message from somebody that it might be browser related. And so finally, when I cleared everything out on Firefox, it did finally work to jump through some hoops. But that's been fun, interacting with a lot of people from the Hugging Face community more. So like I'm definitely happy to have gotten on there. And then I had lunch last week with one of my friends from Boston who does a lot of local AI related events. And he hooked me up with a guy who is running the AI Tinkerers in Boston. So AI Tinkerers is a group that has in most major cities different events that they run. And I don't know if it's always the same thing, but the thing they like to do is to focus on actual real world or real examples, code examples that people are working on, to give other developers and other machine learning engineers a tangible view of some interesting things going on. So I showed them some of the stuff I've been working on, and I believe that I'm going to be in the lineup for the April in-person Boston AI Tinkerers meetup. TBD, I'm finalizing that, but probably either April or May, which will be good. And then the last thing was that I did start a new Substack for Tech Time Today. I'm not sure how well it will work because I feel like a lot of the good Substack is definitely popular, and people are doing really well with content creation on Substack. Almost, it's like a new blog platform, really, at the end of the day. Nothing new or novel per se, but it seems to. I I maybe haven't used it enough to know exactly why it hits the marks when other blogging platforms have kind of gone to the wayside. But in any case, it seems to work well, and I am trying it out. So I'm going to try to publish some written content on there for a couple things. Definitely follow me on there if you are interested in some little tidbits. I think I put a random article, not AI related per se. Well, actually, there are some AI parts to it, as a matter of fact, but it was on. I recently migrated from Elasticsearch to MongoDB Atlas Search. It was interesting, and so I just put a little bit of a article about how I did it and my experience and that type of thing. So, anyways, let's get to the core of what I wanted to talk about today, which is building larger scale systems using AI. So this isn't as much um, about your individual as a user in real time use of these uh, ChatGPT per se, but more so that when you're building a system of uh, the different levels that you can integrate LLM related technology. And so I'm going to share my screen. See your screen. I'll share the whole screen just so I don't have to waste time switching between different things. Let's see here. I'll do the entire window. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I got it. And so it was just a tweet, but I thought it was pretty good. This guy did a pretty good job coming up with the graphics. I don't know if he did it himself or he got it somewhere else, but this guy Avi Chawala, Chawla, sorry if I butcher that name, but I'm going to go over this a little bit and give my thoughts. So the first thing that graphic that he created was just kind of this overview of the 5 different levels. And like I said, this is when you're building a system and how you kind of can integrate different levels of LLM. And he uses DeepSeek as an example, but you can use Gemini, replace that with Gemini or any other um, LLM related technology. So let me read this one. So the first level is basic responder. So this is probably what most people are used to, and this mimics when you as a user use ChatGPT, but you could obviously set this up for your system as well. And so it's just basic request response. So you're just asking LLM to summarize this set of block of content, or write me X, or give me sentiment on it, whatever it happens to be. You're giving it some request, you're getting a response back, and it's just that one-off transaction. It's nothing integrated, no kind of further. There's no state that's stored in just this interaction. So that's level one, and I think most developers I know of that have started to use AI systems at this level and are very familiar. Level two is where you have different paths or potential functions. So the LM might have access to certain things that it could do, and you in your prompt define, okay, these are the different um, ways that you can use this submodel and this other if this happens, you give it a whole huge context of how to what capabilities it has, and then the LLM kind of makes a decision of which path or function to use. So I found actually that this is somewhat similar, and actually maybe that's something to really know the distinguishment, but this and then the level three has, which is tool calling. I guess the difference between tools and functions. I guess the difference being that he's defining like paths and functions is still staying within the world of like LLM related technology. So LLMs calling LLMs versus tools, which are external tools. So like non LLM related your databases, your browsers, any capability outside of AI. So your normal systems that you have. So you define the human defines what access the LLM has to these other data sources or other functionality, and then the LLM makes a decision of how to utilize those. Oh, it's got a little graphic. Great. Hilarious. Okay. Level 4, the multi-agent platform or pattern. So in here, there is a manager agent that is coordinating multiple sub agents. So like when you're building this type of system, so this actually something I don't think a lot of developers are doing just yet. I think that from what I've seen, and obviously I don't have insight into every area that people are used to, but this requires a little bit of a jump in faith because you're kind of handing off, you're defining somewhat autonomous AI agents that are okay. This agent, you will get inputs of X, Y, and Z, and this is what you can do. So like it's sort of like really you're defining as a developer a series of these tool calling agents so that you define you are an agent that has access to this database and you can do X, Y, and Z, right? You're an agent that does this. So you're sort of splitting up the system into these different autonomous parts. And then you give a manager agent who kind of knows how to access and use all of these more specific kind of sub agents, and it's able to coordinate and use them all to solve some sort of problem or achieve some objective. One thing that's interesting, so even though I do feel, and again, this anecdotally, I feel like this is an area where not a lot of people are doing it yet, but it is an area of like big promise, and I think it will be something that a lot of developers will utilize in the future. I have seen that some of there is within a lot of the cloud-based environments, AWS and Google Cloud, they're starting to add in some capabilities to make it easier to build what they're calling agentic systems. So, like, you define all these different autonomous agents and everything. So, and there's actually other frameworks, kind of meta frameworks that are being built to support that as well. So maybe in a future tech time, I'll go over one or some of those. They are some interesting ways of thinking about things that are different than traditional system development, for sure. And then the sort of highest level, level 5, that Avi defines is this autonomous pattern where an LLM not only generates code, which obviously is done from level 1 on, it's capable of generating code, but it's generating code in the fly and executing it independently. So I'm not sure when, other than maybe like some really kind of specific, well-defined pattern use cases, that we'll see this in the short term until there's a lot more trust, I guess. Like, okay, this is again my opinion, anecdotally, whatever. The idea of trusting in LLM to run code that it generates kind of independently is very unnerving for me. And I think part of it is because it's unfamiliar. It's not something I'm not used to, but part of it also is because when I use these LLMs, I know that the quality of the code it produces is not good enough. So unless your use case is something where it's so constrained or so like specific that you do trust it, I my opinion is that we will not have actual a lot of actual production systems built at this level 5 until the actual core LLM technology is a little bit further advanced. And that could happen quickly. That isn't necessarily that it's decades off or whatever. It could be next year. I don't know, but we aren't there yet. That I feel pretty confident in saying that. So let me stop sharing. Ah.